Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Mixed Media Mayhem. Now today's inspiration piece is this sketch by Jessie B Scrapbooking, and I am going to do another 2023 title page. So this was one that we did on Whiny Wednesday Live. I'm pretty sure we did this on Whiny Wednesday Live. It's all green, and I had the bright idea to have all of my title pages in kind of a monochromatic thing. So I've got the green here. I'm going to do the red today and be inspired by Jessie's sketch. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I am taking some ink with the Circles Upon Circles stencil, and I am just kind of brushing the ink through the stencil. I'm not worried about really keeping any kind of pattern where the circles are not overlapping. That's not what I'm worried about at all. I'm just trying to get some sort of texture, some sort of depth down over top of this red patterned paper. So it is, I call it a pattern paper. It's not really patterned, it's more of a solid, but it's got a pattern paper on the other side of it. So we're gonna call it a pattern paper. Anyway, it doesn't have any depth on it, so that's what I'm trying to get. So I have two spaces where I pressed down darker on this stamp set right here, and then for the rest I just kind of tapped it all over the page to kind of use up the ink that was left on the stamp. So now I'm going to take some chroma glaze. This is red chroma glaze, and I'm going to do a super thin layer over just about all of the paper here. And this is just gonna brighten it up a little bit. Because I'm doing such a thin layer, it's going to turn out to be pretty translucent. So you're gonna be able to see through the chroma glaze, and you'll be able to see the little bit of ink and stuff that I have under there, but it will give it just a little extra oomph, because like I said, this is even though this is a pattern paper, it's basically a plain red paper, and we need to jazz it up a little bit. So now I'm going to grab a mandala stencil. I'm going to take velveteen glaze, and I'm going to fill in the center portion over here. So that's going to give me a nice darker base. And then I'm going to grab some chunky glitter glaze, and I'm just going to use my silicone brush and go ahead and basically paint the glitter glaze around the mandala. So I don't want to have a whole bunch sticking out past the edge of the stencil, so I'm very careful with how I'm doing that. And then I'm going to bring the stencil down on the opposite corner in a smaller amount and drop some down there as well. So look at that gorgeousness. I am loving it. And now I am going to go ahead and stamp out some of the matching stamps to that original stamp set that I used. Just by the way, this is an epically large stamp set from Love from Lizzie. So now I am going to go ahead and emboss this. So I'm using Scarlet embossing powder with clear embossing ink over some red patterned paper. So again, this is a 6x6. It does have a slight pattern to it. It's not just a solid red. It's got a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and call this a pattern paper too. Now I am going to use my heat tool to look at that. I just love embossing, guys. It is so magical, and tonal and tone embossing like this is just, frankly, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Now, I don't have a set of dies to match these stamps. I actually don't think they came, I don't think they came with it. Or not come with it, but I don't even think like coordinating dies were an option. So I'm going to fussy cut these bad boys out. I'm going to do some rough fussy cutting. I'm not going to go around and touch the edges to edge. I'm just kind of getting like the basic shape down. I was thinking that this was going to go directly over top of the layout, but ultimately I decide that what needs to happen is these things need to be popped up on some pop foam. And while I'm cutting this, I'm debating in my head of what I should be doing with this, which, you know, I mean, these are the things that run through my head when I am fussy cutting. Okay, am I fussy cutting close enough? No. That cut looks funky. Fix it. Do I really even want a fussy cut? Yes, I do want a fussy cut. So, do those things run through your head when you're fussy cutting, or do you love to fussy cut? Do you hate to fussy cut? Are you the type of person that stamps out a bunch of things or takes a piece of pattern paper and fussy cuts while you're watching TV? Like pre-fussy cutting, that I can't get behind. I cannot get behind pre-fussy cutting. I am kind of like, if I need it, then I'm going to fussy cut. If I don't need it, why am I going to spend the time doing it? That's kind of my philosophy. So here is the background, and I'm also going to bring in some washi, so I can kind of have a base down here at the bottom for the date. I was thinking about putting washi up at the top too, but I didn't like it. Even just holding it right there, I was like, no, not gonna like this whatsoever. So I'm doing a little bit of a stacked washi down here, and ultimately I end up peeling some of this washi off because I don't like what's happening. I feel like it is distracting from the gloriousness that is my glitter glaze in the corners. And honestly, guys, I love me some glitter glaze. I love it so much. I'd rather have glitter glaze than washi. So some of that washi needs to come off. Now I am also looking for numbers to put down 2023 because these will all be the 2023 album covers. And dang, if it is rough trying to find red numbers in my stash where I have 2 2s. I mean, I'm like, hello? Why don't I have 2 2s? Because last year was 2022, so there were a lot of 2s used up. So I decide to grab some red fun foam, which is off to the side right there, and I'm just going to die cut my own. But I am going to pop the things that I stamped and embossed and cut out with some pop foam, and I'm going to figure out where I want them to go. Ultimately, I want the bigger piece up at the top and the smaller piece down here at the bottom. Just to coordinate size-wise. It would have felt lopsided if I would have had the big floral at the bottom and the smaller floral up at the top. Now, you guys, my page is not dry. I am placing things down while it is wet. I know that gives some of you guys heart palpitations, but you know, I can't be bothered to wait for my mixed media to dry most of the time, and this is one of those times where I just can't be bothered with it. So my page is curly, the things are lifting up, but once it's all dry, it's going to be fine. So I am not stressing about it, and you should not stress about it either. So I'm going to use my little die cutter here, and I grabbed some numbers to die cut. Now, I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing, and I ended up die cutting my numbers backwards. And I'm like, oh, you ding dong. So I have to put those off to the side and re-die cut. The only one that could be used was the 0, which is fine. So I just ran it through a couple more times to get my proper numbers. And then I'm going to layer up these fun foam numbers over top of the washi. Now, I love cutting letters and stuff out of foam. It's basically you're making your own thicker. So if you find a die set that you love the font and you could do that and buy your foam, and then you have like unlimited thickers. So that's always exciting. Now, I also decided that I needed a little bit more in the background. So I go ahead and take some of the tiny stamps. I stamp some of them dark, and then I kind of went all over the page and did it a little bit lighter. So here are some close-ups while everything is still wet, so everything's still a little curly and everything. And how many times can I say everything? My word, it's practically a drinking game at this point. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out everyone else who is playing along with Mixed Media Mayhem, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.